And someone changed the timer and then locked it with a different padlock.
That's
and
a good one.
Ringing. No one could stop them.
That's a good one.
But didn't they, normally they had people who actually played the bells?
Yeah.
didn't
Yes,
they?
right.
Yeah.
Right.
And this particular time when they nailed it shut, they couldn't get up there to play the bells to announce that it was time to come to chapel.
chapel.
So
That's a
nobody,
piece of brilliance.
everybody was late and nobody
Yeah.
showed up.
Right.
And it was taken personally by the headmaster and who was the chaplain?
Brian.
Brian.
Yeah.
They were not happy campers.
Right.
Not at all.
No, I think a lot of the pranks were taken personally. It's
I mean, like when we put his car over there in the for
did the
sale
parking lot, yeah.
You're ahead in the Ford.
Yep. Yeah, God, I hadn't thought of that in
In
years.
Larry Pond's Volkswagen, and we put that down the steps of the tuck shop or something.
Oh, I do remember people were trying to bring a Volkswagen in and replace the head's table with it, but they couldn't get it through the front door. It was just, they'd mismeasured a little bit. And it was about
really?
yay much too wide. And they took the door off, and they were talking about tilting it sideways to try and fit it in.
Oh,
But,
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it was fifth form year, but it was the seniors that were
Yeah, not us.
engineering that one.
Yeah.
The senior jocks, because they were the only ones strong enough to
Strong
carry
enough to
it.
carry it.
Yeah.
Do you all remember Gavin Runyon? He was a visiting master from Eton. He was in with Bugsy in Bungalow. Talk about opposite personalities. Gavin, he was so out to lunch. It was just astonishing. And I forget who it was. It must have been Gil Alfring again. Did that fishing line net on the floor.
Oh boy.
His apartment. I mean, he just there's this cobweb of monofilament about this high. Gavin opened the door. You could hear him hit the floor. He was flat out, just flat out. It was great. That was fun. And the other thing was that Kellogg had I think it was Neil had a single room, and I think it was Brad Burden, my roommate, who tried everything he could to do to get kicked out. Finally got kicked out, but he took a thing of talcum powder, put it in a big wide mouth glass, had a high-powered fan that he plugged in with a long extension cord, and Neil was asleep like this. He always wore his glasses when he slept. He poured that talcum powder. The whole room went white. Couldn't see where it was. God. The other thing, Brad, this is the last story, but Brad took a line of lighter fluid from outside of our bedroom into our bedroom under the door, and lit it on this end, and this flame shot into our bedroom. We had no idea where it came from. Could have burned the whole house down, but Brad, I guess he was pretty clever. He knew that it wasn't too dangerous, but it lit the whole room
It wasn't
up.
gasoline. It was just
No, it's lighter
fluid.
fluid.
Yeah,
Yeah, because he smoked a lot here. he always had a lot of lighter fluid.
So were any of you guys in the silent digital thing here? Protest?
I was.
Oh, I was.
Yeah, not this year though.
Yeah. That was 45 years ago, just about now.
Yeah. I was standing on the Hill House steps watching y'all.
Yeah, you chicken.
And
I think I was too.
totally
I think
thinking,
I was too. Yeah.
nothing's good is going to come out of that. It wasn't that I was in disagreement, but I kind of figured that there were going to be consequences. And boy, I do remember there was a lot of whining and crying when there were.
I don't remember what the consequences were.
The
Black Mac had his pen out, I'm sure.
Well, I remember Pouvon
it
drove up
was
in that
ours,
old Jeep, and he looked at us and he shook his head. I think he was writing down our names, and then he disappeared.
Yeah, well, I remember Seymour just coming totally unglued about that thing, and I think he remembered that actually for quite a while.
We were protesting apathy, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that's right.
Right? Yeah.
I think the punishment was like community service, or we did
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
I think they're it's like everybody got 5 hours, or there was
I
some.
think it was 5 hours.
But it wasn't meant to be punishment. It was,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it was.
Yeah.
Just put your money where your mouth
Yeah,
was.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, had to do something. But,
Poodball. Now there's a character. Wally Poodball. I tried to sign up for crew. When I first showed up here, I didn't even know what crew was, but it sounded a hell of a lot more interesting than football. And Poodball said, "There's not enough water in the lake this year. I'm sorry, you're going to have to play football." So I played 3-4 football. I'll never forget that. And I said, "Oh, really? Okay." Just totally naive about the whole thing.
Yeah.
guys, speaking of 3-4, I ran into PD Tower here a couple 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And not only did he remember me, he remembered other people on that year's been 60.
He was our coach, right?
He was
3-4
our
football,
coach.
wasn't he?
3-4
Yeah,
football.
yeah.
And he was a basketball coach.
Yeah. But he remembered people.
Yeah.
I mean, and he remembered things that happened. And how anybody can do that, I have absolutely no
He
idea.
called me up 3 nights ago. He said, "I saw your name on the list, and I was planning to come, but I got tired. I had something with the family, and I can't come. But I just wanted to check in and say hello." And it's remarkable how many classmates he's kind of kept
Yeah.
Tom Small he's talked to,
Yeah.
and a lot of folks.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think it was the year after us was his last year here, and then he took off. When I talked to him, he said he wanted a social life, and wife and family, which kind of surprised me. And
He has 2 children, I think.
Yeah.
And, in the 30s and 40s. I had a delightful conversation with him. I wish I could stop by there on the way home, but
Where does he live?
Wellesley, Mass.
Did you drive here or fly?
I flew to Boston,
Yeah.
and I was planning to drive, but I just decided it'd be easier to fly. And then what I didn't realize that everybody leaves Boston at the same time on Friday.
Right. Actually, they do that Monday to Thursday.
Oh, they do? Yeah. I almost could have driven from Richmond
Right.
in the time it took me to get here.
What's our next activity? It's 11:15.
Craft beer. Maybe we can start it early.
Craft beer starts at 5. We're off by
You
quite
think
a
they
few
need
hours.
any help setting it up?
They might, yeah. Lunch noon to 2. The environmental center 1:30 to 4. Class photo sometime. There was a wide open range. I don't know when. Back at that tent for lunch, and that tent for craft beer, and that tent for dinner.
wow.
Yeah. You know where the Great Lawn is? Do you know where the Great
Art
Lawn?
Center? I think, right?
I asked the guy parking cars, the great what? Yeah, I think it's over there.
We all thought it was that piece of grass between the library and the dining room.
They got new names for lots of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting getting over the idea that Archibald wasn't in an infirmary anymore, although it's hard to imagine needing that much space.
What is it?
It's administration building.
And dorms. Upstairs are dorms.
They got dorms upstairs?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, I
It's a
think.
nice building. It's a
Yeah,
really nice
yeah.
building.
Yeah, they moved administration out of Steel Hall.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's in Steel Hall anymore, or in fact, if it is still Steel Hall.
I think it is in its classrooms. I read online. But
Maybe
most
maybe I
of
ought
us
to
never
take
got
this
past that
gold
little
key thing.
entry there, right? If you didn't spend a night there, you never got past that little entry office and
Oh
the
yeah.
sign.
No.
Oh.
If he cured all problems. Remember that with Pfizer-Hex?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
If you had anything wrong with you,
Right.
a little Pfizer-Hex
Yeah.
would solve that
Pfizer-Hex
problem.
and Coricidin.
That's
and
Right.
what was the name of the nurse?
I don't
Was it
recall.
So I went to the
Burnsy?
drugstore a few years later trying to
Gonna
find
have to go,
5-6. Oh no, that got taken off and put behind. That's too powerful.
Yeah.
Right, you don't get it anymore. But I remember him. I cut my eyebrow several times. Once playing hockey, once doing a hip check to somebody in the hallway after the Hill House. My glasses went into my eyebrow. But I remember one time when he sewed it up. It was only like 4 stitches or something.
Yeah.
But he said, "Yeah, well, we'll just sew it up. The Novocaine's going to hurt worse than this thing. I'm not putting any Novocaine in."
Well, senior year, I was designing this boat and I had this drafting table by my bed, and I had a double edged razor hanging there. I was using to cut the paper. And in the night, I rolled over and I got this nice cut right here, and it's right next to
Big
artery
vein.
vein, whatever that is. And Chip Moore says, "Ooh, you don't need to go to the infirmary. I can stitch you up right here."
There you go.
See?
And you let him?
No, I went to the infirmary.
Oh, okay.
I woke up Doc Gray.
I don't know. Chip might have been a better bet.
Well, in the end, maybe, but not then. He
Yeah.
hadn't even gone to college.
Yeah.
But he was pretty sure he could do it.
To our school upon the hillside.
Mm-hmm.
Those words will
Yeah.
forever reverberate.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's nice hearing the old hymns again.
Yeah.
My wife drags me to church every once in a while, and there are these ones that have a drum set and a couple
Yeah.
of
It's
amplifiers
nothing
and
like-
guitars up by the altar, if they actually have an altar. And I'm looking at this and going, what is this?
Well, when I moved to Burlington, Vermont, I went looking for a church, and my only criteria was the music.
Mm-hmm.
And it was impossible to find. It was things like you just described, or a Hammond organ with god-awful singers. The Episcopal Church seems to be the only church that is
In my
continued.
church, the guy plays bongos, the minister.
The minister himself, right? Well, that's a cost-saving.
Did they have they expanded this organ here? I don't remember.
Yeah, it is. It's a new
Yeah,
organ.
new one.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a
But you used to be able to
big
see
monster.
Mr.
Fife.
Fife. You used to be able to see
Duncan
him.
Fife.
So he's
Right.
back
Yeah.
here. So
Yeah.
back there.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that's a big organ. They
Yeah,
got.
it really is.
yeah.
It'd
Nice
be,
sound.
Yeah, it'd be
Yeah.
fun to hear someone
Yeah.
really let loose with that.
Pretty stark up front.
Not me.
You could play piano, couldn't you?
No, actually, John Detweiler was the guy that really actually.
He could play
Played
the
the
organ,
organ
you
the
think?
best,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do you remember Saturday night dinner when we'd have entertainments and Dick
Downstairs.
Dick Bateau would be up in that little
Oh, yeah.
on that
Right,
balcony.
Oh,
with
Logan
his-
and
Right, Tom
Bateau
and
doing
Logan.
Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what we were trying to think of last night. Who was saying? Was it Neil Kellogg? Who was saying someone had a
We were talking.
connection to a media mogul?
Well, it was. That's what we were talking about. It
Yeah.
was Tom Logan. Does he have a connection?
Oh, he was Josh Logan's son.
Josh
Yeah.
Logan's son,
Right.
and then there was another one who was younger, and I can't think of what his name is now, but not in our class. But yeah, they used, and then we had a break, as I recall, between dinner and chapel on Saturday, or vice versa. Chapel was late.
Chapel was after dinner.
Dinner, and then there was a break,
Right.
and then
'Cause
chapel, as I recall.
we-
We used to gather in our room in West Wing 2, and Spotswood would dance for us. So he was the dancingest guy I've ever seen in my life. We'd put on the Tams or the Embers or somebody like that, and we'd all, Scutch and I and Spotswood and Gordo Stevens, would get up on the beds. I couldn't dance with a hoot, and Gordo could just throw it around.
Yeah.
But Spotswood had all the moves down and everything. We sometimes had 20 people in that room because it was like a 15-minute break between
Yeah.
dinner and chapel or whatever.
God, that's funny. This is stuff I had absolutely no clue of.
Yeah.
They never would have imagined that Spotswood could dance, or in fact would if he could.
Yeah, I mean, there's nobody better.
Wasn't Vernon Glenn involved?
Oh yeah, Vernon was in that group
Yeah.
too. That's exactly right. Yeah, we was shaking the beds.
Yeah, I remember noise coming out of there, and you'd walk by and know Vernon was.
Oh, you know what the noise
Up to
was?
something.
It was what's the blonde guy's name? He lives in Princeton. He's on city council now. Played lacrosse. Crazy. He lived down the hall, and he would just scream out. I mean, he's a nice guy.
Yeah.
He's one of the gang, but he I'll think of his name in a minute. But he'd just be in his room and just let loose with this howl
Yeah.
that you couldn't believe, and then life would be quiet again.
One of the animal.
Yeah, what was his
Um,
name? Blonde hair, kind of tall,
Yeah.
lacrosse player. Yeah, I'll think
Oh,
of it.
Roger
Tackman.
Martindale?
Roger
Martindale.
Martindale. Yeah,
Yeah.
Roger Martindale. He's on city council in
He is?
Princeton. Yeah. He's outspoken, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
University is not totally happy with him because he's very much of a town advocate as opposed to a university advocate because of the taxes and all that sort of thing that they forego.
Yeah, he played defense with me and Curtin
Okay.
in lacrosse.
John,
Yeah.
Jack
And Harvey
who's now John.
Knuckles was the goalie, right? Was that right? Harvey Knuckles? It's the goal.
Harvey Knowles.
Knowles.
Harvey
Knowles.
Oh, no, there was a guy who would push the
Yeah.
a little bit.
What was Knuckles' first name? Al?
Alfred Knuckles.
Alfred
Yeah.
Knuckles. Harvey Knowles. Yeah, he really did push it as hard as he could. He did.
He had a kid here.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, because
the kid
I
here
went
in
with
one
him
of
to
my- in
watch
one of
the
my daughters'
alumni
right
lacrosse
here.
game one
Uh-huh.
year. Yeah.
Her class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, we had a great class. We had good folks, and I was thinking about that comment about diversity or whatever. It's a challenge, but it's a strength at the same time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
One can only hope they're living up to that and not just following the almighty dollar to get kids in here.
Yeah.
Well, I spoke to a fella who's in the administration. I think I told Phil this last night. I may have told all of you this. Who is retired now. He wasn't a teacher, but he was in administration. And he said the difference between when I first got here, which is right after us, and later years, is that when you guys were here, a lot of your parents sent you here and you didn't want to be here. And he said, all these kids that are coming here now, they want to be here. It's special to them. They understand the value of it and whatnot. And maybe the school is also better understands their needs. But that's a different sort of, that's a good thing.
That is different.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So Tay Van Italy's coming back, I saw.
He is. Yeah, let's see who's coming. Don Gilbert's coming back.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be driving up together, I think.
Where is Tay? Is he in
He's
New
in
Jersey?
Princeton.
Oh, he
as
is?
well, yeah.
Well, sounds like we got a lot of people in Princeton.
At least those three. I don't know if there are others or not. But those three.
Tay.
Tay was at Johnson & Johnson for a good while.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Don's teaching high school.
Well, it'd be fun to see them. Hope they actually come.
Absolutely. I think he will.
I saw Gilliam was on
He
some
in the
of
end
those
couldn't
emails.
do it in the end.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we all
the
go
last
down
ones
to
here.
Winter X and take our clothes off and run around as though we're third formers again? And
Oh yeah, we can do the 600-yard
do our pull-ups
and do that sprint
that
run,
block thing.
Yeah.
block thing back and forth.
Yeah, I'm ready for that.
Yeah.
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 Then the sit-ups and
18 surgeries later. I'm ready.
yeah, that was.
I wonder if we could
strangest
get our
way.
old records and match up against our old records.
That'd be most. I hope they burned up in that fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
See you, Phil.
Thanks, Joe.
walking off.
Oh, we walk down.
Okay.
Walk down there.
Where are we going?
Into the sunset. Oh, history.
So cheer them for Choate, all hail her bright name. Far through the land we all shall bear her great fame. Forever down through the ages renowned shall she be, fairest in all the land.
Give me a ticket for an aeroplane. Ain't got time to take a fast train. Lonely days are gone, I'm a going home. My baby just wrote me a letter. I don't care how much money I gotta spend. Got to get back to my
School upon the hillside, come and sing a
Rousing song. Yeah. Okay, that's enough of that.
Yeah, I think so.
The Pletniks will come out and admonish us.
Oh, AJ.
We need new
These guys. I think it was the leadership of those guys who kept sending us emails and saying, "Please come back."
That's right.
You know, Dave, and Henry, and what's that?
That was it.
No, I love seeing the names on the list. You know? Old friends. Should have been a lot more.
Yeah, should have been.
Yeah.
Should have been more. Yeah.
Pete Tigner.
Pete Digner.
Yeah, we want to see how that shadow.
Where the hell is Pete Digner? That's what I want to know.
I want to see Pete Hansel and Barkhausen.
Barkhausen. Dave Barkhausen, where are you?
How about Carilla?
And Dave Battle.
Renee Carilla.
Yeah.
I drive by his old house. Kirk Alexander should be here. What the hell happened to Renee? Kirk Alexander.
How about Brad Vernon? Vernon. Yeah.
Where is Vernon Glenn?
Vernon. Where? I'm
Who's going to
senior
speak
year.
tonight at dinner without Vernon?
Do we have any women in our class?
No.
They should be back. Oh, yeah. I missed
And our president, our class president, Peter Marshall Jensen.
Yes.
Where's Peter?
Yeah. Peter's in New Mexico. Peter's going to be here for the 50. Right. We'll see him for the 50.
This is the warm-up. This is the
warm-up.
rehearsal.
Okay, dress rehearsal. Who else? Tom Richmond. What happened to Tom Richmond? Where the hell is he?
So Art Brisbane, right? I mean, the public editor for the New York.
And some of the guys we lost, like Gordo Stevens.
Yeah.
And some special people. Yep. Martin DeShepper, who was with us. Martin DeShepper and Peter Wickwire both were in our third form in the bungalow together, and we've lost both of those. Yep. Mike English.
We've
Sam
lost
Hale.
Mike English, Sam Hale.
John Detweiler.
Yeah.
So what? He's not
Deceased.
Gordo passed away.
Gordon Stevens.
I heard about Gordo. Saw the email.
So I told that story earlier about Gordo trying to bombard the lodge with his lacrosse ball and large rubber band, which didn't work. But you remember Gordo would walk up to you and put that stomach out and said, "Ball up your fist and hit me as hard as you can in my stomach. I guarantee it'll hurt you more than it hurts me." And you would break your wrist on his stomach.
Remind me, remember the cow in the dining room?
I have a bait.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, there was a cow that was.
Did you do that?
Who did
I'm
that?
trying to remember that. And what Don was saying is the cow can walk upstairs,
But not down.
But not down.
Right.
so they had to like bring a ramp in.
Who did that?
It was our class.
Yeah, but who did that?
That sounds like our president answering a question. It was our class.
We're beyond the statute of limitations on this, right? So if you can confess now, come on. Speak up.
Seymour isn't coming back. Keto. Seymour isn't coming back.
But
Whoever did that better show up.
Keto Peters. Yeah.
But there was also a prank we pulled at Memorial House, third form year, and I think we took all the chairs out of the
dining hall. I remember that. Chris Halstead, Andy Berry.
So what did we do with the chairs now?
We put them in the science building. Sounds like Brad. I don't know why I could remember that.
You were at Memorial House. You were, yeah. Chris Halstead. That's another guy.
That's amazing.
Chris Halstead.
Generally,
Chris Halstead,
Bruce Campbell.
Andy
Doesn't
Berry.
involve so much work.
I think it's probably worth pointing out to the people who aren't here that if you're not here, we talk about you a lot.
A big one.
So you ought to show up for the 50th, because otherwise we're going to be talking about you.
You want to just start right now and pick somebody and talk about it and just work around the whole
So
class?
do we have insurance coverage for what we're saying about it?
We got Rohan
They can block-
to
yeah,
represent
they can
us
block-
on this deal. We don't have to worry about any liability.
So who was thrown out of our class before?
Korea.
For Korea.
Gar Stillman.
What?
Gar Stillman.
Wow.
There's a name from
There's a name.
That was not easy to come up with
Was he
either.
related to the Count?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
He was
he
like
must have really
nephew
been
or
bad.
something. Yeah.
Oh man.
What
was their offense? They had like a secret
I have
compartment.
no idea. He disappeared. You know, it was like one day he's there, and then he spends the night in the lodge, and then it's bye-bye.
My roommate from
And Muscat. What about Muscat? Wasn't he?
Muscat, he
yes.
was gone.
He had a secret compartment in the eaves and the rafters. They had this secret like hideaway thing that I guess a janitor found. And
nobody did it the way my fourth form roommate, Brad Burden, did it. Brad Burden came from Nebraska. And he had another friend from Nebraska. They both ultimately got kicked out. Took them a while. They worked really hard at it, but they finally got kicked out.
Oh, I remember Brad.
Brad Burden used to
He was a wild
get
man.
up. He would go to New York City and do the bars in New York City. Come back at 4 o'clock in the morning and get into bed and show up for class the next day. I mean, he did that with regularity, and then they made him come to summer school, and they had refrigerators. I think I told this story earlier, but they had refrigerators. He put 2 Cokes in the front of the 6-pack and 4 beers behind it in the refrigerator. Made it all the way through summer school, and he had women in his bedroom. I don't know where I was.
What are women?
Women in his bedroom. He had pictures. He showed me photographs of it. Which I thoroughly enjoyed.
The bedroom or the women?
I didn't really understand what I was looking at, but it was pretty cool.
Where is he now?
I have no idea. He's probably running some huge company somewhere.
Yeah.
Or either he's completely failed. One or the other.
Politics.
But,
Good call.
Yeah, but so Brad blew out her. And didn't Jim Walsh, of course, Jim Walsh, but he graduated, right?
I remember the incident with the initials in the Choate News, right?
Yeah.
Who
Is that
did that?
McVeigh that did that?
Who did that?
No, we figured that out
That was
early. It wasn't Scherer, was it?
But somebody was kicked out for that.
Yes,
definitely. Really?
But it wasn't a classmate.
I thought we figured that out earlier today. Who did that?
We
Jim
were talking about it.
I'm not sure we could say this, do this on camera.
We were
Yeah.
at the chapel service today. Somebody was reminding us about the time we had the emergency chapel meeting, and Seymour came in with the toilet seat. Somebody had thrown a cherry
Striding
bomb
down the aisle with
in the toilet in the Hill House basement.
Yeah.
And all 165 hands stood up. Yeah, I could have done that.
Yeah. So I want to know who did this, and boy, the silence was deafening.
We should get Peter Prescott to come back to it.
He died.
He died.
Thankfully.
All right, so I want to know where's Bucky Homeyard.
Bucky.
Homeyard.
Wow.
Oh, wow. He didn't make
Nice
it.
tokenique boy, right?
Yeah.
Bucky Homeyard.
Yeah. Go for Dave. Dave Healy would be fun to find out about.
Yeah.
But Chris Janning, right? He does those.
I see Chris from time to time.
He does these. Doesn't he do light?
He does wonderful
light music things.
Sort of
They put one on the
tactile
Sacramento
art,
Airport when I was living
where you experience the art.
Yeah.
You know, you step on keys and
that's
play
really
music and create lights. And he's done a lot of major things for. Particularly for where there are a lot of people like airports and that sort of thing. Yeah, he's extremely successful at what he's done. His brother Peter has written a book which is I haven't read it, but I think it's an expose about the CIA. And Peter's and Chris's dad was I went to here and to Princeton with Peter. And I knew his father was in the CIA, but you never knew more than that. It was always, that was it. And so Peter has written this book, which I'm sure is driven by what he knows about what his father was up to during those days and whatnot, which is kind of interesting.
Well, speaking of scandals, what happened to Greg Petersmeyer? Because he was in Nixon's.
Oh, Greg
Petersmeyer.
He just disappeared.
Anyone heard from him?
Who was he? What do you mean?
He was working for Nixon. He was working for Nixon. And he was
1,000 points of light.
He went
1,000
and ran
points
the
of light.
1,000
That was
points of light
Peter.
for.
That was
Right.
He coined that
for
Bush 1.
Bush 1.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's kind of disappeared. Isn't that interesting?
So how's it working over there, Dave, holding that thing?
But
Dave hasn't gotten in the deal. You going to interview him yet?
Yeah, let's get Dave into the...
Here, I'll take it. But first I want to ask, what do we know about Phil Snyder? I'll take the boom and you...
Well, as long as Dave's getting in the picture, there's Carmody and
All right.
all the day kids.
You got it, Porky? Uh-oh, Porky's touching something here.
What about, there was a guy named Kim Fenebresk who was in my house.
Oh, yes. But he
He had a
last,
brother.
did he?
Yeah, no, he was out pretty quickly, yeah.
Yeah, I saw him on the news like 10 years ago.
I see him in New York.
Did a talking
Kim
head
Fenebresk?
thing,
He had a brother that was
financial
older.
stuff,
I remember. Yeah.
Did he make it all the way
Why did he
through?
leave?
No.
Smoking.
Yeah, you're right.
He was a New York City guy, right?
Yeah, he just hitting on him and let him leave. I think that was the the guy
you guys
who,
know each other before you got here from the
his
city?
father came
You all
up
go
one
to,
day and
like,
said, I don't want you under this
day
much
schools?
stress or something. And it was like,
Yeah.
you know, you can leave.
Where'd you go?
I remember staying at Kim's
but
house.
some of you guys knew each other, right?
There was some big
Yeah,
party
right.
out on the
Yeah, 'cause a
island
bunch
the
of us
night,
were
you know, Wednesday night before
Martin
Thanksgiving.
and Pete Hansen
Who was the
all knew each other.
goalie of our lacrosse team? Red hair.
The which team? Hardy?
From Pelham. Yeah,
Hardy. Yeah, Bill Hardy.
Bill Hardy.
Yeah.
So Bill Hardy had brought some, you know, he knew some kind of rough people, and he brought people like they needed bouncers at this party. And Bill's friends, the bouncers, got in a fight. I remember Selby Hinkelbein's girlfriend taking a right in the jaw.
Where was this?
On the island. It was some guy's house on the island, and we were staying at Kim Fennerbreast's house. And I just remember. No. This was our junior year. Like, you know, Selby Hinkelbein and what was his name?
Selby,
Lloyd.
he was class ahead of us.
Yeah, you're ahead of us. These guys were.
Yeah.
Lloyd Miller.
Lloyd Miller.
Right.
Yeah, I remember Lloyd, and I just remember.
Logged in my brain cells. Yeah.
You retrieve them when you need
taking the train back the next morning. It was like Thanksgiving morning, nice warm morning. Lori Cartwright and I were on the train.
Cartwright.
We were so hungover. We were just like, oh my God. It's like, but.
Well, anybody in this picture never
Because I have a
went to
recollection
Mike
of, I mean, that made an impression on me. I don't remember what the circumstance.
Quinnipiac.
Piac. Hoorah, hoorah, fight, choke, fight.
Repel them. Repel them. Make them relinquish the ball. What was the other one? Put the pickle?
Put the pickle to him. Remember Mr. Menon got up there in chapel and said, was it
Munir
Sada
Saad.
said, one of them said, it is not nice where I come from to say put the pickle to them.
Has it like a hidden meaning?
Yeah, right. What do we know? It was green.
So we visited the chapel. I mean, that, you know, you go into the chapel now.
We were in there this morning. Where were you?
What do you mean during a service? No, I just we went this afternoon, but there's still a powerful aura.
Yeah.
Even though there's all the religious symbols have been
Expunged.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Every day we went there.
And feel guilty to be there.
Right.
Guilt is what makes it fun.
You know, there were some. Yeah, it was actually pretty powerful today. The hymns and the singing. Because our voices suck, and they're just as bad as they were.
Yeah, it was all familiar.
Oh yeah. I shall lift up mine eyes under the hill.
He started
was
out
said.
that. He started out with that. Yeah.
And all the younger classes had no idea why we were
have no idea why the
getting
dining
up
hall
ready
went wild.
to leave.
See you at the 50th. See you at the 50th.
My name is Dave McGahee. I was a student here for 4 years. I was a day student, but I considered myself every bit as much a member of this class as anyone else. And as a matter of fact, I was assigned as a third form roommate to the maker of this movie, Phil Snyder, whom I used to harass in the early mornings on free days and wake up in the morning. So it's a lot of fun. And here is Phil to give his version of it.
That would be me.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And we don't look that much different. He's got a gray beard, but you know, I shave my beard so you don't see the gray. So concealment, you know.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah. And Phil is still making movies. He was making movies when he was 14 years old, and he's still making movies today.
You know it too.